Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Anna Vanila Arts. I'm Anna Vanila, and for today I would like to show you how I am able to do hats in the most simplest way of knitting. As you can see, this stitch is not that difficult to make. On the front is the same as it's on the back, on the wrong side. I've applied a marker to know which side is the front side of a hat. So first of all, what I've been doing, I would cast on 85 loops for my size of hat, as you can see, this stitch is very stretchy. It's a little bit like elasticated, and then so after you cast on 85 stitches, 85 loops, you do 2 rows of front stitches on the front, and the second row on the wrong side you also do front stitches. Why do I say this? It's because to make sure the edge of our garment doesn't move too much, doesn't curve, it isn't somehow even or anything like that. And because I've done front stitches on the front and front stitches on the back, it creates this kind of lovely nice shaping. And then I started to, on the third row, I started to do the actual stitch which I've chosen for the hat. Let me show you first of all my hats. This is a bigger hat which I've made in the same stitch as this, and as you can see, it's lovely. I love it. This is the back. As you can see, you can barely see it being stitched here. This is the circle. This is the top of a hat, and I'll show you how to do the increases and the decreases, and this is how it looks like as a hat. I've made on purpose for it to be a bit longer because I wanted more space for my head, because I do a lot of hairdos and updos, and I do buns, and in winter time I need more space for my hair. Therefore I usually do 23 centimeters high in my hats, and then I do the decreasing and close the brim, I think is called, and it's the same pattern as you can see as this one. I'm going to show you how I've done the decreases. This is another version of the hat which is a multicolored version, so it's blue with gray color. As you can see, the circle, the decreasing, it's even, it's nice. This is the back. You can barely tell where it's stitched, like so. It's the same pattern, the same stitch, but just slightly smaller than the previous hat. I made it a little bit shorter so that I can wear this hat even when my hair is down. So these are interesting variations of this hat. And now I'm going to show you how to achieve this look. So let's begin. I've got acrylic yarn mixed with wool in this case, in this instance. I've got 85 loops. I've made this stitch. The stitch looks the same on the front as well as on the back, and this stitch has only one row. So there are two steps, two actions that you could do to achieve this pattern. So when you cast on 85 loops, 85 stitches. If you have head size to mine, but if you have smaller, then please reduce to 80 to 75 maybe loops, depending on the size of your head. Maybe you can just use like a meter around your head and hug your head so that you can just see the right size, and you can do basically the same thing as I do, but just a smaller size. So the first row I did front stitches, and the second row also front stitches. Then on the third row I started to do the actual stitch. I have here I've made 22 centimeters here, 22 centimeters high, and enough to start to do a decreasing. And I'm going to show you first of all how to make this stitch, and then we will do the decreasing. So the first loop we do not need. Oh, by the way, my needles are size number 6, and so the first loop we do not need. The second and the third we knit it together with a purl stitch. Then we take one loop and we knit from inside. We grab the yarn from the inside, from the back, and then we knit the same loop on the top, and we create basically from one loop 2 loops. Release. So 2 front stitches we knit together as 2 purl stitches, we knit them together as one purl stitch, like 2 purls we create as one stitch. Then the next one we knit from inside, we grab the yarn from behind, and then the same loop we knit from the top, from left to right. We've got 2 loops, and only then you release this loop. So 2 purl stitches, we make it into 1 purl stitch. We knit from the inside the loop, and then we rotate and grab from the other side another loop. So basically we need the same loop from both sides, and only then we release it. So 2 purl stitches, we make it into 1 purl stitch. Then from the inside we knit the next one, 2 together. From the inside we hold it, then from the other side 2, we make 2 loops out of 1, and only then we release it, like so. So again, purl stitch. We made 2 into purl stitch. We need a loop in 2 ways, and only then we release. So 1 purl, from 2 we make 1, and from 1 we make 2, and that's how you knit until the end of this row. And the same way we knit on the back, so you achieve this pattern, this stitch, both sides, and it should be all perfect. Then I'm going to show you how to decrease the hat. This is the second row of this stitch, so the first loop we do not knit. We see 1 loop, and from 1 loop we make 2, like in the previous row. So from the inside we grab the yarn, then from the left to right we knit this side of the loop, and only then we release when we have 2 loops on the needle. So we release it. Then 2 purls, we knit as 1 purl. So from 1 we make 2. Then from 2 purls we make 1 purl. So from 1 we make 2, and from 2 purls we make 1 purl. Front stitch, we knit both sides and we achieve 2 loops. Then we do a purl stitch out of 2 purl stitches. And that's how you knit until the end of this row, and then you repeat the same thing all over again, and you will see how easy and quick you can do a project like this within a couple of hours, and you can have a finished hat in no time. I'll show you the next step, which is decreasing, which is very easy to do. My own style is very easy to do, even for beginners, so just stay tuned, and I'll show you in this video. Now we've got to this point where we need to decrease. So we do not need the first loop, so we just transfer it, and then what we do, we need 2 into 1 as a front stitch. So we need 2 loops together. From the inside of the 2 loops we grab the yarn and we knit them together. So 2 loops together, and this way we decrease in half the loops on this hat. So 2 together, and we do it until the end of this row. The next row, which is the wrong side, we see all the loops have purl stitches, so we do not need the first loop, but we need every loop in this row as purl stitches, all from beginning to the end. And then I'll show you how to do the decreasing in the third row. So now it's the third row, so the first loop we do not need, but the next loops we need 2 together. Every 2 loops we need them together with a front stitch, so from the inside. So you basically go inside the 2 loops and you knit them together. So this is another decreasing for this hat, for the crown of this hat. This is now our 4th row, so we do not need the first loop, and we need all of the stitches with a purl stitch. And make sure it's a bit tighter so you don't get gaps in the crown of your hat. Now we have a look how many loops we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So we need to decrease one more time. So first loop we do not need, but we decrease 2. So the same way, 2 together. From the inside we grab the yarn from these 2 loops from behind, and we knit them together. And the last 2 loops you knit them separately with a purl stitch if it's not even number of stitches. So this is the last row we need to knit. So this is the wrong side, and we knit all of the stitches, all of the loops with a purl stitch, like so. Everything with a purl stitch. And basically when you see already around 10 stitches, 10 loops remaining on the crown of your hat, what we need to do is to take 2 loops, and then we grab the yarn, we cut the yarn and we grab the yarn through the 2 loops, and then we release it from the needles. And we do this with every loop, every stitch. So what we do, we take the scissors, we take the yarn, and we take the length of the hat, and basically we need to cut 3 times this yarn to make sure it's enough to do a stitch to bind them together. Then we take a needle and so we take this needle now and we take 2 loops. So this is how we do it. We take the first loop of the second loop, we grab the yarn and after we cut the yarn, we just basically pass through the yarn for each 2 loops. So again, 2 loops, release and push the yarn through. So loop and pass the yarn. And we do like this with every 2 stitches in this row, in this last row. So we do 2 together, and if it remains as one odd number of stitch, you just take 1 and pass through this 1 loop the whole yarn. Then we tighten together like into a circle, and we make a knot. This knot we make on the back, so we turn the work, we wear this yarn onto the needle for knitting, and then we make a knot, we tighten and make a knot, then we turn it like so, and then we end up stitching with a mattress stitch alongside this hat, and that will be it. So we take this special needle, it could be plastic, it could be metal. You pass the yarn through, then we turn it on. So as you can see, we need to fasten off this one to make sure it becomes like a circle. So we put to the wrong side the whole hat, and we tighten so it doesn't, so there isn't any gap here in this stitch, and we make a knot. So I make the knot like so, and we tighten, make sure it's tight so it secures it quite well. I usually make another knot again to make sure it's not going anywhere, the stitch, so it just stays for good like that. And knot. So we turn the work to the front, and now we need to knit through this to bond, to sew the stitches that are here. As you can see, it's like a braid. This is like a braid, and this stitches you should knit, you should sew like this from the inside, and you grab 2 loops together like so. You see the 2 holes, and you grab this one in the middle. So we do 2 stitches, then we do on this side the stitches, the braid from the inside. As you can see, inside here we got the braid, inside here we have a braid, and we work with these braids. So we grab like this, you see, you don't grab just 1 loop, but you grab through the 2 loops, the center of the 2 loops, of the 2 stitches, and then you fasten stitches. We knit the same way. This is called mattress stitch, and what I like about this stitch, it actually creates on the front, when you stitch this on the front, because mattress stitch you always stitch on the front, not on the back of a hat, and it's always very neat, very neat. So it's even, and you barely can see the sewing with the stitch, you barely see it. And then after you stitched a little bit, you just stretch it slightly like this, and you continue to sew these braids together until the end. And that's how it looks like. I've got this little peg which helps me a lot with sewing the two parts together. So we take first braid, second braid, and you can use the peg, a clothing peg, for drying your clothes, and you can put it in here to make sure it's all even and you do not miss any stitch. And basically you continue to knit, and you continue to sew, and it will just bond these two parts together, two pieces, and you make a knot on the wrong side, and then you stretch it a bit so it's stretched a little bit, and it should be finished. I'll sew this and then we'll see the end result of this hat. Now I have finished to sew this hat. Now we turn it inside out and we follow this braid that we stitched the hat. So we just go up like we are hiding the stitch, the yarn, the odd and ends of yarn. So we do a knot. You can do knot the way you like it, you can do in your own style, and then we hide the yarn through the stitches like this, through the stitches, and it will not be noticeable. And then I go back to make sure it's all even, and yeah, we cut this thread, then I have another thread, another tail when I started this hat, so I need to within the end as well. So we find this braid again, and we also do again the knot. You do the knot the way you like it. So I tighten. You can do 2 knots to make sure it's all done and it's nice and even. So I go back now through the stitches to make sure it does not unravel, it doesn't start to unopen, and cut the end. Now we kind of correct the hat, so we just stretch it slightly. This is the marker. We take off this marker which was showing us the front side of the hat. So as you can see, it's stretchy. This stitch is very good for the hat. It's stretchy, it's nice, it's lovely. Will be very warm in winter. Basically, I'm ready for winter, as you can see. This is the decreasing. As you can see, is a perfect circle. This is the sewing part where isn't there visible, and all we need to do is a head to wear this hat on. So as you can see, this is how it looks like. I hope you liked it, and you can give it thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to show you a lot more new things but you might have not seen before. So hopefully you enjoyed this process and do garments yourself. You can use this stitch for pullovers, for jumpers, tops, whatever you prefer, even for mittens. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you soon in my next video. I am Anna Vanila, and you can also buy this pattern, this hat's pattern, on Etsy. I'm going to place on the Etsy, on my account on Etsy, and you can buy the instructions there on Etsy. The pattern will be ready for you to buy it. So thank you very much for watching, and I'm sending it to you lots of love and lots of creativity your way. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye.